Hey, what's up everybody? It's Coach Matt over here at Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Coming to you today, Fridays are normally days where I'd go over some training tips and techniques and things like that. Last Friday was a little bit of a change, had a little bit of a rant, kind of went off a little bit on a couple posts I'd received and some questions that I had received. So really wanted to take today to go over some of our training, to go over some of the stuff today on Monday that we would normally have done on Friday. Now Friday's training tip was supposed to be about something that's kind of taken over the fitness industry, something that's really gathered a lot of steam and snowballed over the past 10 years, something that you all may have heard of, which is called functional training, kind of the functional training movement. So I want to take a second just to kind of define what functional training really is and to talk about how you can incorporate functional training and functional training methods and what those actually would be for throwers. Now, functional training itself, there's a lot of equipment out there that's considered functional training equipment. Things like bands and tubing, inflatable disc pillows that you would stand on for balance, wobble boards, the big inflatable Swiss balls, Bosu balls, which is like a half Swiss ball that has a little base to it, medicine balls, Plyo boxes, little banana hurdles. Guys, there's catalogs and catalogs. I used to work for a company that sold this stuff. 70, 80 page catalogs out there just full of this type of training toys. Now, functional training itself does not mean that you're just going to use this functional training equipment. Functional training basically means that you're training with a purpose. You're training with a focus. You're training with a goal in mind. You're training to function better as an athlete. Now, when it comes to throwers, we've already been incorporating these functional training methods into our throws and into our practices for years and years and years. One piece of functional training equipment that you're going to see in any functional training catalog or website out there is a medicine ball. And I think I'm not really kind of going to be tapping into anyone's training by saying that a lot of us right now are using medicine balls during their training and during the throws to get better. Throwers have used medicine balls for years. Keep using them. They're a great tool. Really great way to mimic the explosive movement of the throws. It's a really great way to strengthen the muscle groups that you're going to use when you throw. A lot of different things that you can do with medicine balls to help your throw. And I'm sure I don't have to go into it. You probably know dozens of exercises, or you can find them online. The other thing that throwers do that's very functional for their training is using heavier or lighter implements, heavier or lighter discus, heavier or lighter hammers, heavier and lighter shot puts to really improve their throws. So for example, if you throw a 12-pound shot, you pick up a 14-pound shot. It's a little bit heavier than the 12. It's not going to throw off your timing too much. It's not going to throw off your form too much, but it is going to get you stronger and help push that 12-pounder out there further. Then on top of that, you have a 10-pound shot. 10-pound shot is a little bit lighter than what you're used to, but it's not going to throw off the form too much. It's not going to throw off your technique too much. What it's going to do is help you get faster throughout the circle, and that's great. Those are two great ways, medicine balls and heavier and lighter shot puts, great ways to incorporate functional training if you're a thrower. Now, when it comes to functional training, when it comes to training with a purpose when you're in the weight room, we have to talk about the kind of exercises that you should be using. And when it comes to training with a purpose and functional training, you have to look at your actual event. You have to look at shot, disc, hammer, and javelin. And you have to take a look and see what muscle groups you're using and how you're using them. Alright? And when you look at all the throwing events, basically what you see is that you use your entire body as one cohesive unit. You use your entire body all at the same time. You never isolate anything. So for that reason, we want to pick exercises in the weight room that are going to be compound movements that use a lot of different muscle groups all at the same time. And you want to stick to the basics. What I'm talking about here are exercises with the 45-pound straight bar. So we're talking about squats, deadlifts, bench press, and overhead press. We're talking about the Olympic movements with that same bar, things like clean, off the floor, hang clean, clean and press, snatch, and the jerk. Okay, then we can do those same movements again with dumbbells. So you can have dumbbell clean and press with one hand, dumbbell clean and press with two hands. You can have dumbbell snatch with one hand, dumbbell snatch with two hands. You can have dumbbell bench press. A lot of different things that you can do with dumbbells that you can also do with that straight bar. On top of that, what we're trying to see a lot of nowadays, what we're starting to see are kettlebells in gyms. I use kettlebells all the time with my throwers. I love using kettlebells because it incorporates, just like throwing, your entire body, and you really use a lot of hips with it. So you incorporate a lot of hip drive, a lot of leg drive when you use the kettlebells, the same that you do when you're in the circle. Okay, on top of all those movements, you have your body that you can use. So you want to stick to some basic body weight movements, things like body weight squats, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, lunging movements, things like that transfer over terrific when you're in the circle. So you want to use those too. Alright, other than that, the only other thing that you want to stick to and really concentrate on, plyometric movements. Now plyos are like functional training 101. Every single sport uses some type of a plyometric movement. But again, we want to stick to the basics. We don't want to do too much. Alright, there's no paralysis by analysis, as they say. You don't want to overthink it. Stick to the basics. Things like broad jumps for distance, vertical jumps for height, repeat jumps one right after another, squat jumps, jumping lunges. That's really all that you need. Don't get too crazy. Don't try to do all these crazy jumping movements. Just stick to the basics. Now what I want to end on is sort of an error that I see with athletes and with coaches when they're trying to take their kids in the weight room to lift. And that is, you can't just look at the finish of a throw and think that that's the best exercise to train. And this happens a lot, unfortunately, with discus, with my favorite track and field event, discus. What we start to see is that a lot of coaches will take a look at the discus and say, all right, discus, that's a follow through with that right arm. That's a follow through across the chest. The best thing that you can do for that then is going to be a chest fly on either a chest fly machine, chest fly with dumbbells. That's going to really translate well into that throw. Now, is the chest fly a good exercise? Sure. It isolates the chest, gets the chest stronger, gets the chest bigger. Yeah, chest fly is great. Should the chest fly or any other isolation movement like that take over for those basic compound explosive movements that we already talked about? Absolutely not. It's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. Same thing with the shot put. A lot of throwers will say, a lot of coaches will say, okay, well now we have to do dumbbell incline bench press because that's similar to when you throw the shot. Is dumbbell incline bench press a good exercise? Yeah, sure it is. But should it trump things like cleans and presses, snatches, kettlebell movements, medicine balls? Absolutely not. Stick to the basics. Okay, the basics are are squat, deadlift, bench, overhead press, Olympic movements, med balls, plyos. Stick to those, you will be in great shape. Now, a lot of times people will get a little bit confused and thrown off the path a lot because they're going to read a lot of things. They're going to pick up little things here and there from different websites. Really, what you want to do is take a look, and you want to take a look at throughout the years of throwing what exercises the athletes have done. Okay, throughout the years, what barbell movements, what dumbbell movements athletes have done. And like I've told you, it's always been the basics. Talk to any really great thrower, talk to any past great thrower or any great coach, and they'll tell you that the basics will win out every single time because you're using a lot of muscle groups together the same way that you would use it, all those muscle groups together in the circle. Guys, this is Coach Matt from Primal Athlete Training Center coming to you today, talking to you about this stuff. If you have any questions, training's what I do at the gym day in and day out with athletes from all different sports. So please make sure that you send your questions right along. If you've already subscribed to our newsletter, you've already received week 8 of our 13-week, totally free 13-week training cycle. Okay, first 8 weeks are out there. A lot of athletes have been doing these. A lot of athletes have been sending me emails telling me how great they've been doing. 50-pound increases on their squats, 40-pound increases in their overhead press. Crazy amount of numbers I've been hearing from people from all over the U.S. and all over the world. So if you guys haven't signed up for it, go to primalatc.com. Read more about the types of videos that you're seeing here. Sign up for our newsletter. Go to us on Facebook. Ask those questions. That's what I'm here for. I love helping. I love giving out advice to all the throwers out there. We're trying to turn primalatc.com onto an online hub where throwers from all over the world can come, ask their questions, and get them answered on a day-to-day basis. We hope to see you there. We hope to answer some of your questions in the very near future.